Hello and welcome to the Private Fund Manager, a quick overview of how we can use the software in schools to manage school fund donations. That's either some or all of those donations have gift aid attached to them that we can then claim back. So we're just going to run through how the process works, how to enter the information, how to extract the information. Here on screen is our software, very simple to use software, although very fully functioned. And I'm on the first tab, which is all about setting up our accounts, setting up our cost codes, nominal codes. On this system, I have a few accounts that are already there, including, as you can see, a school fund donation account for the academic year 16-17, and one that I've set up for the academic year 17-18. You can have as many different accounts as you like, and of course many schools will use Private Fund Manager for trips or school funds. However, purely for school fund donations, then we might have a single code, or we might have ones for different years or for different fundraising purposes. Very simple to set up. Let me just set one up for the next financial year. So we simply allocate a code, something sensible and logical. So I'm going to stick with my scheme of SF Don followed by the year. I tab across and I give it a fuller name, School Fund Donations 18-19. You can go back and change any of these. I could put someone as being responsible for this, and what I need to do is the tracking. The tracking says how it's going to record the information on the money received. When I click on the pull down arrow, various options, one of which is by individual and gift aid. This will record the money that is received in the form of donations, which pupil the donor kind of belongs to, and the gift aid information. And down in the box that says students, then on the right hand side, I have the option to add a figure if I would like people to donate £20 over the course of the year, or £120 over the course of the year. Whatever the annual total is, we pop it in there. So let's pop 30 or 40 in there. And then we choose all of the students. I have a very small school with only 8 people in, but when you click on the pick all students button, that will just take a moment or two to load all your students against this donations account. Doesn't matter if some of them never donate, it's just making all the students part of this account so that we can take money should we receive it. So we've now set up the account, ready to go. We can now start taking money, and money can be received as either cash or cheques, or it can be received as a standing order / direct debit, or a bank transfer from your parents into the school's bank account. Any of the last ones, standing order, direct debit or bank transfer, we can automatically read the bank statement in and allocate the monies accordingly. If it's cash and cheques, we do obviously have to manually make some entries. What we might choose to do, well, let's just do a little example of some cash and cheques. So I've gone onto the transaction entry screen and I've gone into the receipts area and a heading called banking, which as you can see breaks down cash and cheque. I choose from my list or type in my account. I'm doing school fund on 17-18 at the moment. When I choose that account, you'll see a little window appears at the bottom, and it asks me of all the children in school who has donated some money. So I can type in the first few letters of a person's name and it will jump into the right sort of area, and then I can pick the one I want. Over here there's a box called amount, so I can either say they've paid that full £40 or actually they've chosen just to give me 20. I can go cash or cheques. If it's cheque, I can simply put the letter Q in, or if you prefer, put a cheque number in, which would then be possible to use for tracking back, and obviously the date. And then very importantly at the bottom, for gift aid purposes, who is the donor? It comes up with parent information from Sims when I click on the pull down arrow. If that's not correct in terms of gift aid, I just click on the edit button and it says I think it's Mr. Harrison or Cooper. I can click on the edit. I can say actually it's Miss Cooper who's donated this money, because of course gift aid is all about individuals, and I do have to supply an initial if there isn't one, and I can tick the box to say yes, this person is a global gift aid person, so from here on in please claim gift aid back against anything they donate. However, I can change that as I go. And that's added my first entry, as you can see, to the grid at the top. And I carry on in that fashion if there's any more cash and checks. So I've got children listed, I've got someone called Louisa Ridout. By the look of it at the bottom, the donor details have already been put in properly. So I simply click on the declaration and save for this person. She's now added to the grid at the top. And I just go through in that fashion. I've got James Luff looking at the donor details. They don't look quite right. And of course, once I've done this once, I won't need to go back and do it again. It's getting the donor information correct one time, and then it will be on there permanently. So I've now got 3 cash and check items. If they didn't actually all donate 20, one of them gave the full 40, and one kind person gave 50. I could have changed those at the time, of course. Now, if that process of going through and having to check that the donor information at the bottom of the screen is a bit of a faff, which I would take the view of, what we can do is, before we start taking any money from anyone that's gift aid related, we can go through and put in the correct names, the correct initials, and also we can put a tick in to say if this person is globally a person we can reclaim gift aid on. So on the Tools menu, there's a little button called Donors Full. It lists all the parents that have come across from Sims for us. And as you can see, some of them are missing an initial here. They've all got an address on, that's great. And then over on the right hand side, there's a tick or not a tick to say they're a gift aid person. And I simply click on the button at the bottom. You can't quite see it. It's a button at the bottom that says Excel spreadsheet. Let me just show you that a second. So there's a little button at the bottom. I click on that, it opens a spreadsheet, and then that allows me to go through the spreadsheet slowly, putting the right initials on and putting a tick against them to say they are a gift aid person. Don't have to do that all in one go. You can gradually build that up at each time, reading it back into the system. If you can't be bothered to do that, it's just a case of as and when you take people's payments, cash and checks, we have to just check the donor looks right. So I'm going to say that's all I've received. I'm just going to bank that as a paying in slip. It generates a little report if you fancy it, split into cash and checks. So if we're doing things cash and checks only, that's how we would process the information. It's quite quick and easy once you get going. If you want to be able to offer the facility where parents set up standing orders or direct debits, or where parents make a straightforward bank transfer into your school account, which the system will then automatically read in, the only thing you have to worry about is telling the parent their unique code. The unique code is the thing that allows us to do it automatically, the reading in from the bank statement. If you don't do it, it's not the end of the world. We can go through manually saying, oh yes, I know who that's from. That's Mr. Smith, father of John Smith. But obviously, if we can get away with it, it's better to get the system to read in automatically. Looking in our screen inquiries area, there's a button that tells us the internet payment codes for all the donors. And as you can see, all the people are listed with their associated student and this strange but special unique code. And that's the code we have to tell the parent about because they need to put that information in the box on their internet banking or their direct debit box that says reference. So I'm sure you've all done online banking where you make a payment. There is always a box called reference where you put some information in. In PFM, there's a button on the right that will automatically write a letter or email to everyone telling them what their special code is. It's just like a mail merge. And these down the left-hand side, the hash codes are your mail merge fields. So I've got one that I created a bit earlier, which is a donation letter, and you can create these and save as many as you like. And as you can see, where I want information merged in, I've clicked on the appropriate hash code button. And it's a nice little letter asking them for 40 quid each, why you want it. Down at the bottom here saying this is our bank account detail and telling them please enter the code, and then I've clicked on this one at the bottom called direct payment code. Please enter the code blah into the reference box as this will allow us to identify your payment. So this can go out as a letter, or it can go out as an email, or it can go out as both, whatever you fancy. So it's a way of contacting parents, asking them for school fund donations, telling them how to pay directly into your bank account. And anyone who chooses to do so, the money will just appear on the bank statement, of course. And back here on our transaction entry area, rather than me manually having to put in cash and cheques, there's another tab called Direct. And as you can see, there's a button at the bottom that will automatically read your bank statements. If the parents have put in that special unique code that you told them about, then it will automatically put onto the grid in front of us how much each person paid. As you can see, it's telling me there are 9 new entries on my bank statement. 5 of them are up at the top here, they've been accepted. However, 3 of them have been rejected, and that will be because the parent has made the payment, set up a direct debit or made a direct transfer into the school bank account, and they have not used that special code. So it's not the end of the world. When I go in here, there's a list. Under probables are any that it's trying to work out, and under rejected are a few that people have just not put a code in at all. They've put any other old crazy words in. Not lost though, as I say, because I can track down it's £999 from Mr. and Mrs. Coombs. So using the question marks at the bottom, I could say, yes, I definitely know that's a school fund donation by clicking on the necessary cost code. And then using the second question mark, I can say, Mr. and Mrs. Coombs, I know those, they're Sophie Coombs's parent. And so I'm able, as you can see, to pick the right student, pick the right thing that they're paying for, and then I can simply accept those entries one by one. And they appear on this screen. This is money that's appeared directly on your bank account, so we simply click on the Bank It button to save it. So donations from parents can go in as cash and cheques, or they can go in as automatically being read from your bank statement. And if you can explain to the parents the importance of a special code and they use it, then it's literally click this button here and hundreds of items could automatically be brought in. So we've had money come in different forms. Up at the top of the screen, we've got a section called Screen Inquiries or Reporting Area. And by choosing our school fund account, we can run a series of reports, such as on the left here, payments received. and that will show us what we were asking for and how much anyone has paid so far. So Louise has very kindly overpaid. A few have paid what we asked, and a few have paid nothing at all at the moment. We can do debtor reports to say, could you actually show me anyone who's not contributed at all? And we get a smaller list, and this is a list that we could use if we wanted to chase people up. And we could use that concept and now write another email or letter in the form of a chasing up letter. So this is another email that we're just going to send to the people who haven't given us any money. So it's a slightly different letter. You might remember we asked you for some money. We hope you can consider, blah, blah, blah. And over on the right-hand side, we can say, only send this to people who owe more than, we might say, £40 if we just want to send it to people who have not yet donated anything at all. And as you can see, it's telling me down here that it's going to be 4 people who get the email. Or you can click here and have it as letters. And of course, we could write a similar one that is a thank you and goes out on an email or a letter to people who have donated. And for that, we could say only send it to people who, and we'll put -40 in to show that we'd like to send it to people who are in credit, i.e. they've paid their £40. And as you can see, it sends it to a different set of people. So we've got some options there for reporting to find out who hasn't contributed, and then if we wanted to send little emails and letters to them. We can look in the reports by account at a kind of more general level, and so the pupil reports are all about pupils, of course. The report by account is more of an account summary. And so I've got a button at the top, which is a summary statement, which shows me all the people who have paid, when they paid, the paying in slip number or name, and if there were any entries that had come in directly as direct debits or bank transfers, they would all show there too. Excuse me. Let's have a look. I think on last year's, they're paying in slip too. Let's have a look at one more, see if I can track any down. And we've got a couple there at the bottom, as you can see. This is an older school fund donations account going back to 2015. And on this one then, we recognise that these are direct payments. DP is direct payment, and it gives us the special unique code and also the name of the student. So we can look up the information, and of course we've got straightforward financial accounts which would allow us to run a profit and loss, a balance sheet, etc., audit trail of all the information. These are standard reports though. In addition to those, we have the gift aid reports. So if you are in a position that you want to claim gift aid back on the school fund donations, that's all done automatically for you through statutory reports and gift aid. As you can see, we have a date range, and then down the right a series of buttons giving us different types of reports. Most importantly, at the bottom is the R68 GAD, which is the spreadsheet that you upload to HMRC in order to reclaim your gift aid. So you make sure you've got the right date range at the top left, and we simply click on the R68 GAD. It's extracting the information and it's generating the special spreadsheet that HMRC will accept when you try to upload it for the purposes of reclaiming. And here it is. You'll be familiar with the way it looks. So it's just some information, an example, and then we go down and your actual donations will appear. As you can see, the total is 140. It then lists each person who's donated and the amount they've donated. If as you go down you notice that something is not perfect, so this one for some reason the initial is in the last name, you simply change the spreadsheet. Get rid of the initial in the wrong position, and now the spreadsheet is perfect. you would always run down, make sure that your addresses were in place. It's a big old spreadsheet. It goes down, I can't remember how many lines, 1,000 I think. So you can have lots of lovely entries here. And we're happy with ours. We simply save this and upload it to HMRC website. So that is the R68 GAD. What are the other ones? Well, if you just wanted a quick look at how much you can currently reclaim, then the gift aid summary is quite a nice one. It's actually only £35 at this point, so you might choose to delay it for the time being. Up at the top, some useful things are how many people have donated, but we can't claim back the gift aid because they haven't given us a declaration form. So if we click on that one, fortunately there's none, but if you had some of those, you would then perhaps want to go back and chase up gift aid forms. We might have donors who have incomplete details, so those are the two that we had the issue with, the initial being in the wrong place, so we would want to go back and make that change. Then we've got an audit trail, which is every single gift aid payment we've received. The one then that's important is to have a quick look at anyone who has not filled in their declaration form. We can go into the screen inquiries area, and just as before, we can write a quick email over on the right here. And one of our boxes on the right, as you can see here, is no declaration. So if I were to tick that one and write my special message, putting in the hash codes as a mail merge, it would drop a quick email to them all saying, thank you so much for your donation. Haven't had a gift aid form. If you are gift aid, if you are a taxpayer, please could you complete the attached form and return it to us. Sometimes that's all it needs to be able to reclaim the VAT on certain people, the gift aid on certain people. And then we can come back onto this screen, find the donation. So whoever the person is, all the donations are individually showing here. So you would find the person who hasn't given you a declaration, and there's simply a tick box over on the left-hand side. So nice and easy to do. And so that is the donation scheme, how we set it up, how we send emails to people asking them to pay, how we take their money, and how we then generate the reports for HMRC. If this is a separate bank account that all this information is going into, we of course have the ability to do bank reconciliation. It's like every bank reconciliation you've ever used. We simply tick the items as they appear on your bank statement, or use the adjustment button if you need to. And as I said previously, you can run a full set of financial reports at month end, year end, whatever you need, including your trial balance, balance sheets, income and expenditure, and audit trail. So that's a little overview of school fund donations using Private Fund Manager. If there's anything that we've not covered or you'd like some more information, please just drop us an email or give us a call. I'm Mandy Riddington. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.